All right, if you take a look at the latest polls on issues worrying Americans in the last 2 weeks, probably no surprise since the San Bernardino attacks, terror tops the list of Americans' greatest worries. Nothing economic, just terror, by a factor of 5. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, not at all surprised. He's been following this closely and warning a great deal about it. Very good to see you again. How are you?
Always good to be here.
Are you surprised that now this is the #1 issue by far for Americans? #1 issue for Democrats, #1 issue for Republicans, their security, terror.
No, I understand this. When you cannot predict the source of the attack, so that you don't know exactly what then you have to prepare for all contingencies. When it can hit you at any place, and when we have had an adversary that specializes in its special cruelty, I can understand. I not only understand it, I think it's essential that we deal with that problem.
Now, as you might know, Secretary, before the president leaves for vacation, he's going to have a press conference a little over an hour from now. His final of the year. He is expected to talk about terror. This would be the 4th time in less than 2 weeks. And the idea is to reassure Americans we're on top of this. Are we?
Well, we need a strategy that puts together what we do internationally and what we do domestically, and which shows an outcome in which one can identify the source of the terror and indicate what we're doing about it. And I think so far actions have been too random and too much geared to an individual incident rather than to an overall issue.
Senator John McCain was on with me recently, Secretary, saying that there's a danger when the president keeps talking and raising the same talking points, he scares Americans. Is there a danger that by not clarifying what he wants to do, outside of saying kind of what we're already doing, that it makes the situation worse, that people get even more anxious?
Well, the fundamental origin of it are these non-state organizations that have arisen in the Middle East and that spread all over the world. And we have to find a means of destroying them. It isn't simply a matter of containing them. It is an issue of destroying them. Now, this is, of course, a difficult problem. And it cannot be dealt with purely as a police issue in the United States. So we need a strategy which has to begin with the destruction of ISIS. And then there needs to be an outcome of the Syrian civil war, which is either negotiated or imposed. And then we can have an international order in which we identify the key elements of people that are supporting us and the elements that are opposing us. And I would think especially the Europeans have to take another look at their position. They've been taking a free ride on the American military efforts around the world, but they are now directly threatened with attacks in their capital cities and with a massive flow of immigration that creates an implication of a change in the whole pattern of living.
But on that immigration issue, you were critical of Congress and this idea to freeze and reassess refugees coming here. You said it sent the wrong message. What do you mean by that?
No, I was talking about, when we were talking about 10,000.
Right.
I think we...
taking that 10,000 in.
About taking 10,000 in. I think as a general proposition, after taking these 10,000 in, we should reassess the whole program to establish criteria that people can have confidence will weed out the people that are potential threats.
Do we have that confidence now? Marco Rubio had said recently that we could let in 9,999 who are perfectly fine. It's the one guy who slips in who's not that causes the problem.
Well, to some extent that will always be true, no matter what the criteria are. We have to establish two things. The best criteria that we can possibly develop and a level of immigration that we are confident we can handle. And that requires a close look.